guys, welcome back to Paradise Lost in Books. I'm Christy, and today I'm here to talk to you about Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. Scarlet is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles series. The first was Cinder, which I already did a book banter on, so you can click the card to go check that out first. In this novel, in the series, we are introduced to Scarlet Benoit, a French girl who lives with her grandmother on a farm, and her grandmother goes missing, and she's determined to track her down. Along the way, she has to accept help from the mysterious wolf. Cinder's story also picks back up in this novel. It's not just Scarlet. We get to see both, and we see her breaking out of prison and trying to come to terms with who she is so that she can try and take down Queen Lavanna and save Earth from the lunar threat. So if you have not read Scarlet yet, I don't suggest you watch the rest of this video because it's going to be full of spoilers. So go finish Scarlet or read it if you haven't and come back and we can have a discussion on the second book in the Lunar Chronicles series. As usual, I will talk first about the things I did like about this book. I really admire how Marissa Meyer has been twisting the fairy tales and putting a different spin on them. You can definitely see how the fairy tale exists in this book. You have Scarlet with her red hoodie, Little Red Riding Hood. You have the wolf. You have the grandmother that she's trying to get to, and things go poorly in the end for grandmother. Unlike the fairy tale, grandmother doesn't have such a happy ending. She isn't just saved, but we'll talk about that later. She does a good job of incorporating the original fairy tale, but still making this unique world that is completely different from the old fairy tale. I also love that this book starts and mostly takes place in France. I am hugely obsessed with France and French culture. I did a study abroad in Paris for 5 weeks when I was in college. So I just love all things French, and being in Paris at the end of the book and exploring new French culture in the future was just really cool, and I really enjoyed that part of the book a lot. Let me just also say, another really great thing about this author is that she really pays attention to the little details that really help bring the story to life. There's one part in a Cinder chapter where she says something about a sound slipped through her audio interface, and that was just such a really cool detail to me. I know it probably seems kind of small and silly, but the fact that she didn't slip up and say that it slipped through Cinder's ears or whatever, she made a point to call it audio interface, just really shows how invested she is in this world that she's created, and shows that she pays attention to these small details and doesn't just let things slip through the cracks. Aiko is back. I'm so happy that Aiko is back. She's honestly like one of the best characters in this whole dang series. She is so sassy, and I love how she's like, I'm a ship, I'm huge. Like, it's just so funny, and she's just so fantastic, and I'm really glad that she's back because she is very enjoyable. Speaking of characters, we also get introduced to Thorn, who is an American, and he is very American. He is super funny. Between him and Aiko, Cinder just can't catch a break with all the sassiness, and their chapters were some of the most fun to read in this book because the sass level is just through the roof, and they're just the funniest characters. I love when Thorn is trying to land the plane in the field, and Cinder is like, oh my god, we're gonna die, holy crap, and he's like, it's fine, it's just wind, I just got hit by a gust of wind, it's fine. Also Kai, poor baby Kai, I feel so bad for him, just everything is shit, and he just can't catch a break either. I just feel so bad for him, just everything is going wrong, and it's kind of Cinder's fault, and you know that he wants to empathize with her, but I just love his character so much because he really puts his country first. Like, he really wants to be a great ruler, and I think I said something like this in the Cinder video, but I love that he doesn't just throw everything away for love. Like, he's a very pragmatic, logical ruler, and he really wants to do the right thing for his country. I also really like how Cinder and Scarlet's stories ended up connecting. I'm really glad the stories are weaving together, and I felt like they complemented each other really nicely, and the way that they came together seamlessly at the end was really well done. It didn't feel forced or rushed or anything like that. And I love how grandmother and Cinder are connected. The fact that she hid Cinder there at her farm when Cinder was freshly escaped from Lunar, and how she's connected to the Lunars, and how Scarlet is part Lunar. Just all of that stuff was so thrilling. I was just like, wow, all of these characters having to come to terms with new parts of their identity. Everything has changed for them. You know, Scarlet did not know she was part Lunar. Cinder's trying to deal with the fact that she's the princess, and also having to deal with the fact that Wolf is Lunar. Just, there are Lunars amongst us, guys. They are everywhere. I would not be surprised if we have more Lunar characters. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Cress from the next novel is Lunar from what I have gathered of that novel so far. So it's just interesting that they're bringing in more Lunar characters, because the Lunars are really seen as a negative thing. Like, you don't want to have anything to do with the Lunars, they're bad, they're evil, blah, 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 but all of these characters are kind of humanizing the Lunars, which I think is a great thing. And that end battle was super epic. I think Aiko taking out the thaumaturge with her door was probably the best part. She was just like, hey, poof, just knocked out. It was so great. Aiko was truly the queen. Scarlet was trying to save Wolf. It was like, oh my god, they're not gonna make it, they're not gonna make it. They made it. I knew they would. It was just a really thrilling conclusion, and I was really glad that it ended the way it did, because I was wondering the whole time, how are they going to connect the stories? But they connected really well, and the end battle was totally worth it. Okay, let's move into the dislikes, because I have to say that I think I liked Cinder a little bit better than Scarlet, and there's a few different reasons for that. The first being Wolf. Really? Marissa Meyer, really? We couldn't do any better for the Wolf character than Wolf. It's such bad naming. Like, that is so lazy to me. No offense, Marissa Meyer, but you could have done better. You could have at least given us, like, Wolf in a different language or something. I don't know, but every time I read his name, I just wanted to roll my eyes. So my eyes got quite a workout, because obviously his name is in here a lot. And I'm really glad that the next book is named Cress, because that name actually seems different and original and not such an obvious connection to the metaphors. Like, with names and things, I like to figure out the connection myself. I don't like for it to just be like, he's Wolf because he's the wolf. There you go. Let me figure something out for myself. Along the same lines as Wolf, I don't like him very much. He's a cookie cutter, mysterious, brooding man who doesn't feel anything until our scrappy, stubborn, fiery-hearted heroine comes and softens him up. Just him and Scarlet are just so stereotypical, and I'm just so tired of seeing that same played out relationship. I would really like for my male characters to be strong and mysterious, but also have something else going for them, you know? They don't all have to be the same prototype of mysterious, brooding warrior. And along those lines, I just don't really buy into their relationship. They've known each other for a week. Every other review of Scarlet that I've read says this, so I know this isn't anything new, but I just don't buy into their relationship. The way that she was like, I can be your alpha female at the end, I was just like, I'm sorry, like, you've known him a week, and he's kind of part of the reason your grandmother is dead, and I just don't believe in love conquers all, or that you can't resist the pull of true love. I don't buy into that, and so it just kind of annoyed me. Whereas Cinder and Kai's relationship is actually going through some drama and going through some issues, and they've had ups and downs, mostly downs, and once they're reunited, I think it's going to be a lot more interesting to see their relationship unfold. Whereas Scarlet and Wolf, it was all just kind of like right in your face, no subtlety, no growth, no development. It was pretty much insta love, and I just was not a fan. Also, as much as I liked the ending, the one thing that I did not like at the ending was how her grandmother died. That was bullshit. She spends the entire novel trying to find her grandmother, talking about her grandmother and what a profound impact her grandmother has had on her life, and blah, 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 and we get like a 2-second scene between them. Like, I get the situation they were in, and I get that her grandmother probably had to die, but I just don't understand why the scene felt so rushed, why she hardly got any more time with her grandmother. I mean, maybe it's just me personally. I'm a little bit sappy and I don't like for goodbyes to be rushed or for people to die so suddenly. Even though I guess that's technically more realistic, it just left something to be desired for me. I wanted to see more of a reunion between her and her grandmother, and I hated that it felt really rushed and that her grandmother died like one page after she reunited with her. The other thing I have to say is that Cinder is a much better female protagonist than Scarlet. Scarlet is so slow. Everyone has to spell everything out for her. She's so stubborn and she just refuses to pick up on the obvious. Like, there's one part at the end where the thaumaturge says something about how they had to send operatives to finish the job or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was pretty obvious from the context that they were talking about killing her father, which she already knew her father was dead and that the wolf pack had done it, so it's not like there were any pieces to put together. And she was just like, I don't understand. What do you mean finish the job? And I was like, really, honey? Overall, I gave Scarlet about 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was above average, but only slightly for me. It definitely wasn't as good as Cinder, which I believe I gave 4 stars. I still enjoyed the story and I still want to keep reading the Lunar Chronicles. Even though it had its issues, I didn't hate the story, I didn't hate the characters. There were just some issues with the story and with the characters that made it less enjoyable than Cinder. But there's still a lot of books in the series and I still think the story and the world are really interesting. So I'm still going to keep reading and see where it goes. The next one is Rapunzel retelling, and Rapunzel is my favorite princess, one of my favorite fairy tales, even the original one where the prince gets his eyes stabbed out by thorns. But anyways, I would still recommend this book. Just be aware that if you are like me, it's not as good as Cinder. Alright guys, that is it for my book banter on Scarlet. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!